Hey, welcome back to the War Room, the third edition, and today I'm going to be starting as a solitaire version of Fields of Despair. My first GMT game. Well, my first board game is GMT game. I've played Command and Colors Napoleonics on computer, and I have the Steam version of Twilight Struggle that I really enjoy, so this will be my first hands-on game down here. As you can see, I got a little bit of the old Avalon Hill Victory game collection, and I just got done doing a playthrough of Panzer Group Guderian. I'm going to post a video of that. While I was waiting for my GMT games to arrive, I got some more on the way, but this is my first experience with the bags and the blocks. So an old counter Avalon Hiller starting his first block GMT game. This is the War Room, my little setup, and I'll just be posting stuff as I go along, commentaries on the game, and show you a couple moves and just see how it goes. But other than that, it's taking a lot of time, a lot of reading. So let's see how fun this game is. We'll be back with some Fields of Despair. Hey, welcome back, guys. Getting ready to start my first moves on this Fields of Despair game. Thought I'd give you a look at the initial setup. Followed all the playbook directions to a T, so I think I got it set up right. They got the Hindenburg line, doubles all the defense strengths. Like I said, this is my first time playing it, so we'll see how the mechanics all work. I got it pretty well detailed in the playbook. Got the American units getting ready to come on here. And all my markers set. It's a good looking game. Central Powers or German force pool. And all the force pool the Allies. British, French, Americans, and Belgians. And into the rules we delve. Don't worry there, Gilbert Collins. I didn't mark on my, these are copies of the rule book. But as far as initial deployment goes and my strength points, I just went ahead and, distributed my strength points not knowing how the enemy was deployed. So we'll see how it goes. Getting ready for my first turn. We'll be back on the Fields of Despair. I'll spare you all the individual moves, and we'll check back a few moves into the game, or a move or two into the game. There's only 3 turns, so we'll have to go pretty quick. We'll see how it goes. Be back. Okay, we already got a rules conundrum right off the bat. I'm just now deploying my reinforcements, and a big part of this game is the attrition, which is fine. Here's where the reinforcements are coming in for the British, the French, and I'll have to move the American reinforcements next. This scenario starts on turn 7 in a solitaire game. And as you can tell here, I can see my blocks, but they're enemy blocks. The central power blocks are abstracted by just placing a unit there. You don't know who they are yet. Now the problem I got is during the manpower deployment and attrition phase, you're supposed to take your attrition losses off these front line units, which I did for the Allied units. But how do you take the attrition losses, which are, I think, 3 strength points for the Central Powers player. How do you take them off when they haven't been revealed? Now, what I ended up doing was taking them off of the reinforcements. But they said you were supposed to take them off of frontline units, so since the frontline units aren't revealed, I don't know. And I've looked through the instructions, and old Kurt Lewis Kickley, I don't know how you address that one. No, I went ahead and adjusted it on the strength point chart. They got 10 reinforcements, pushed me up to 150. Then I minus 3 for the attrition, so I did it that way. This unit here was a 10 strength, now he's a 7, so that's where the Central Powers, that's where I'm taking the Central Powers attrition off of. Like I said, ain't really clear in the rules, so that's all I wanted to say. A little bit of a glitch there, guys. If anybody designing the game is watching, let me know how to resolve that one. Be back. Okay, we have issue number 2, and I ain't even started the game yet. Yeah, right here. The old Ally front line, always contested. On this, it says at the start of every Allied and non-player Central Powers action phase. Well, I'm going into my first action phase. And according to this, I would put a black block into every Allied controlled hex, but that would put blocks behind the front lines. So I'm thinking that they're meaning after combat movement following the initial turn. They're not too specific on this. Within 2 hexes of a Central Power frontline hex that could be reached. Well, all these hexes here could be reached by the blocks movement allowance of 2, so at the start of my phase, I'm supposed to put black blocks in these hexes? I don't think so. That don't sound right. Like I said, that would put the enemy behind the front lines. So, like I said, I'm assuming afterwards when I break through, what they're really trying to do is simulate the player that I'm not playing against plugging the holes. So that's all it is plugging the holes. You're going to get a free movement through here. If something comes through, you're going to place a block in there, and you'll determine the strength later. So I see what they're trying to do on it. We're going on up here. We're progressing. Just that I make some notes on some rules and what I'm noticing in this game. So far there's 2 issues that they haven't really addressed or made too clear. So a lot involved. Let's see how it goes. Alright, I'm back with a little bit of strategy and tactics. I'm going to the first action phase. For the Allies, I got to bring on the American reinforcements. That's yet to come. Like I said earlier, I have no idea what the enemy strengths are, so my initial deployment was to keep everything pretty well, beefed up in the center. Down here, a little bit on the light side, I got some cavalry. All my cavalry's on the ends. Nothing really. I got a cavalry unit here, but looking at the victory conditions is the key. And to put it in a nutshell, you gotta get all the German units out of here and the Allied players to get into Belgium. That's what I need to do. So that's what the strategy will be on. I'm going for my first aerial reconnaissance. Gonna see how that works in the Solitaire scenario. But basically, you want to look at the victory conditions to find out what you got to do. And that is what I got to do. Can't have any of these. And I only got a few turns to do it in, too. I mean, there's a couple action phases per turn, but it's a real quick scenario. So, on with it. Just thought I'd throw that little comment in there. Okay. At the Solitaire sequence of play, we have made it all the way down to the Allied action phase. So this is a little spot here that we had a question about. But other than that, now we get to go to the fun part. Play some of those neat counters. Aerial dogfighting and reconnaissance. Solitaire play guide. So the Solitaire game has got a bunch of mechanics in it. And here's what's going on. me as the allied player replaced my air squadrons. Of course, I'm going to, as per victory conditions I just stated earlier, I want to see what's going on here. So, I got my air units. And this one here's a bluffer. It don't matter if you guys can see it or not. If I was playing a two-player, I wouldn't want them to be flipped up this way. But solitaire game, I got a ace there. So we're on to the procedure for the solitaire dogfighting. So this is kind of getting interesting and very enjoyable. So I'm going to go ahead and start following some of these instructions and seeing what the results are. We'll be back. World War One. Okay, now with this dogfighting procedure, I'm picking a hex that has the most strength points in it, and that is going to be this one here. I really stocked up on this one. It looks like the spear's end. It's the front line, most active hex. It's where I'm going to concentrate my forces on. So we're going over here, and as per Patton's best solitaire game, you have a little bit of procedures here, and I'm just going to show you this one real quick. We're not going to go all the way through it, but do the central powers respond with air squadron. For each hex, roll 1 dice, adding to any die roll modifiers. So this is how you're going to simulate the other player's movements, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and have some fun playing it, and we'll see what happens after a movement or two. Alrighty, here we are. We've had some fun. Here's all the air operations going on here. As per the solitaire rules, the German didn't respond with any dogfighting capabilities against these guys performing recon or these guys. Now he did respond here, and he responded overwhelmingly here. But the fun part of it is, when he responded overwhelmingly, it's my dummy counter. So that's pretty cool. And he also had to put his ace on there too. So we haven't gotten to the combat results yet. I'm going to go ahead and see what's underneath. It's recon time, so I get to, I guess first go for, which one do I want to do first? I guess the one with all of them. So we'll be reconning this hex here to find out what is there besides the, I don't know if you can see, the single block. So this is where it gets interesting. So far this is great. Not too complicated. You just got to read everything like anything else. Check it out if you get, I've read things 2, 3, 4 times. But like I said, it'll get a lot easier. This is my first time doing it, and yeah, it's good. So I'm going to be back in a little bit. Bye. Alright, hello. I've made it down here to the block movement phase. You can see all the different actions that I've taken so far. We've done all of our air reconnaissance, and we have revealed some units. So some other thoughts here as we're going along. As I was talking earlier about the excitement of using these blocks, I've come to realize now that those blocks are mostly used for a 2-player game. For the solitaire version, we'll be reverting everything to its counter form. So, so much for me in my first block experience. But in the solitaire game, there's no need for it. So we all just kind of put them flat down. I've got my first units revealed. And that's right here. You got a nice 15 strength points. And another 16, 19 over here. Compared to what I've got. I also got my first Americans were put on into the town of Conflans. Outside of the town of Conflans. So that's my first American reinforcements. Like I said, this scenario don't start all the way through here, so this has all been played. It's really towards the end of the war here that the Americans come in. You can see at this first action phase, the Allies got the initiative, but coming up after this turn, in turn 8, the Central Powers do. So This is for action phase 1 of turn 7, and then we'll be going on to action phase 2. There's 2 action phases per turn. Oh, other than that, we don't know the strength of any of these units yet. They're all hidden behind this Hindenburg line, so I did some battlefield reorganization and placed my units behind the actual trench. So that's what we're facing here. We're going on some block movement and breaking down blocks. So we'll see what goes on. I guess it's where you move your units at. I don't know if there's going to be much movement or just fighting, but find out how these units are revealed. It's all based, and if you're going to play the solo game, it's really important to keep track of the revealed strength points. Okay. So you count up all the totals of all these guys revealed at the top numbers. This one here, and all these guys count as 1. So right now the revealed strength point of the Central Powers is 52. His total strength points, as determined, is 147. So that helps in the game. Here's all my air units. Allies used up all theirs, and German player still has some dogfighting results. Only let me reveal 2 hexes worth. I had like 3 hexes that actually had reconnaissance units in it, but there was abort missions on the dogfighting, so you turned them around. That is the status. So far, I really like it. It's interesting. A lot more facets than some of these basic Avalon Hill games, but we'll see. Like I said, it's down to counter time. Can't use the blocks, but it's still fun. So that's where we are now. The big push, I guess, will be in here with artillery and everything, trying to see if I can get somebody moved. I am really weak over here, so I'll have to figure it out. I'm like Trump. This is the situation I've been given, so I got to do my best with it. We'll be back.